Hello, everyone, and welcome to Luminar Coffee Break. I'm Angela Andrieux, and today is our new Artist Friday Ask Me Anything session. So the purpose of today's coffee break is for new users to ask me questions about getting started with Luminar AI and any other photography related questions that you might have. So as we go along, make sure you put those into the chat pod and I will do my best to answer them as we go through. Now we'll start with a few of the most frequently asked questions that we get, and that is in our user guide. So our user guide is fully searchable, and we get some stats on seeing what's being searched. So in the last week, these were the most frequently searched terms in our user guide. Number one being bokeh. So as you might have heard, our update 4 is coming really soon. We expect it to ship next week, and that will have our portrait bokeh AI tool in that update. If you'd like to learn more about what that's all about, go to our insiders community and take a look at the article there. What you can do here from Luminar is just go up to the help menu and go to Luminar AI Insiders. That will launch your browser and take you directly to our insiders community. If you haven't joined yet, I highly encourage you to do so. It's a great place to hang out and get a lot of really cool information. So as you can see right here at the top in one of the featured articles is all about update 4, which is coming hopefully next week. So make sure you check that out. It's a great place to get a lot of information. So let's go ahead and pop back over here to Luminar AI. While we're spending some time up here in the help menu, I also want to point out our user guide and the provide feedback. If you go to provide feedback, that's going to take you directly to our support page. So if you have a technical support question, customer support question about your order, anything like that, this is where you're going to want to start. And if you scroll down, we have right down here, here's the way to contact support. And this is a contact form, so you can just go through and enter your information, and that will get sent through to our support team. They typically answer within 24 hours. So that's something you want to definitely know. And then also here from our help menu, we have our user guide, which is fully searchable. So that's where those search terms come from. There's the search field right there. It's also available in a handful of other languages. And down here at the bottom, if you prefer to work with the user guide offline, you can download a PDF of that user guide. So make sure you keep those links handy, and they're all right available from your help menu. So as I mentioned, bokeh AI should be coming next week in update 4, so that's exciting. I want to take a moment here and say hello to Joseph. Hello to Belginder. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but I'm glad you're here. It says my Luminar AI is hanging every time I open a DNG file format. I uninstalled and installed it again, and it works fine now. I'm glad to hear that everything's working fine now. If you run into that problem again, make sure you reach out to support, which you can find directly through the help menu, and provide feedback that takes you to our support page. You can also email them directly at support@skylum.com. Great question, and glad you brought that up. All right, so let's take a look at a few of these other things. The second most searched term this week was crop. And I get it. Sometimes it's hard to figure out where our crop tool is in Luminar AI. So let's go ahead and take this beautiful image right here. I'm going to go over to my edit tab. And our crop tool is actually called Composition AI. Give that a moment to process and load. And hopefully that'll pop up here in just a second. I've already done quite a lot of edits to this image, so it just takes a moment for it to render. There we go. So let me click into Composition AI, and you'll see that I've already cropped this image. Hopefully that'll render here in just a second. There we go. I've already cropped that in. You can manually crop by dragging in from the corner. You can rotate by clicking and dragging here in the outside of the bounding box. You can change the ratio. You can flip that aspect ratio there, and a handful of other adjustments. But Composition AI is what you want to look for when you're going to crop. Let's go back over here to these FAQs and layers. That's another great question that people ask a lot about Luminar AI. So Luminar AI doesn't have traditional layers, but it does have a really powerful local masking tool. So let me go ahead and choose, let's just run with this image here. And you can find that by going over into the local masking tool here on the right and go to Add Texture. And this will allow you to bring in other images, so you can use it as a compositing tool. You can bring in textures, you can bring in watermarks, signatures, all of those types of things. So it does a lot of what you would do with layers. Excuse me. Get a sip of coffee here. It is coffee break after all. All right. So that's the functionality we have that acts kind of like layers. We also have some really great masking tools. So you can add a basic mask, which allows you to add a bunch of different adjustments to selected areas of your image. And additionally, on almost every single tool that we have in Luminar AI, there is a mask on every single tool. So hopefully those will help you accomplish most of what you would need a traditional layer for. So those are the workarounds and options that we have available. All right, going down the list here, batch processing. This is a fun one because it's so easy to synchronize adjustments in Luminar AI. And I just want to remind you, as we're going through this tutorial today, make sure you put your questions that you have for me into your chat. This is your opportunity to ask me anything photography related, Luminar related, photo processing. Make sure you pop those into the chat and I will do my best to get those answered for you. Okay, over to batch processing. For this, what I want to do is go over to my catalog and we're going to go to this great photo shoot here of a mother and daughter. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on my first image here in the series. Let's go over to our templates and add a template to this. I'm going to go with Fashionista, which I think works really well for this particular series. And now let's say I want to synchronize all of these adjustments to every image in the series. There's a couple of ways to do it. The first is going to be to right click on that image, go to adjustments, copy adjustments, then go to the next image, right click, adjustments, and paste adjustments right there. Now, if you're doing more than a couple of these, that's a lot of clicks to have to go through. So instead, what I recommend is you select the one that you edited, hold down your shift key, select the entire series, then go back to that first one, right click, adjustments, and sync adjustments. And that's going to synchronize that template across all of those images. All right. Pardon me, I'm getting over a bit of a cold. I'm sorry, I'm coughing. All right. So from there, let's go ahead and pull Luminar AI back up here. Give me just a second. There we go. And I am using an early release of Update 4. So what you just saw there was a small crash, and I'll definitely be reporting that to our QA team. So bear with me while we relaunch. It'll take just a moment. We're almost there. It typically relaunches pretty quickly. There we go. And if I hit the G key there, go back to catalog, hit my G key, go back, we'll be able to see all of these adjustments that synchronize across this series. And it looks like I'm having, there we go, they're just having a moment to reload. But that template that I synchronized is now applied to every single image in this series. All right, so let's go back to those frequently searched terms and take a look at what else we have. So we covered batch processing, skies. Skies are a big one. One of our coolest features in Luminar AI is sky replacement. So I'm going to hit the G key to go back to my grid view. And let's go to this beautiful image here. You can tell it was a gorgeous day, but maybe we want to make that sky a little bit more interesting. To do that, we go over to Edit and down into the Creative section to Sky AI. And then we can choose our sky that we want to use and pop into this image. Let's go ahead and use something that has a little bit of color, maybe not some lightning. I think that might make it a little scary out on the water. But let's go with this gorgeous image right here, this golden sunrise. And you see it completely changes the mood of the image. The light looks great. It's, the colors from the sky are now reflected in the scene. We've got clouds reflecting in the water. And then there's a bunch of different adjustments you can make to really refine this and make it suit the scene. So I encourage you to go through those. We have descriptions of each one of the sliders in each of these sections and how to use them in our user guide, which again, you can find via the help menu, right there, user guide. And hopefully that'll get you going to making some really impactful images with amazing skies. All right, so let's go back to those frequently searched items and take a look at what else there is. Keep those chat questions coming in. Love seeing those. All right, so LUTs. A LUT stands for lookup table, And it's a file that you can load that applies specific toning instructions to Luminar. And to do that, you can go to, let me go back to my grid here, and let's grab this image right here. So I'm going to go over to Edit. Excuse me. All right, come on. There we go, over to Edit. And down under Creative section, we have our Mood tool. And this is where you can load a LUT. Now you can download these LUTs from a lot of different places on the web. They typically are .cube files, .cube, or there's a bunch of them that are already built into Luminar AI. So as you go down this list, you can scroll over them and see a preview of what that would look like when you add it to your photo. So let's go ahead and find something. I like that one there, Color Punch Hot. And we can increase that amount, make that effect even stronger. We can adjust the contrast. We can adjust the saturation. And LUTs are a great way to change the look and feel of your image. It's like a preset within a preset. So you can have a LUT that's part of a template, but it's its own type of preset within this that you can use all of our other tools alongside. So it gives you a great deal of editing flexibility. All right, so back over to our frequently searched terms. So we've talked about LUTs. Here's an interesting one. .mp LUMPACK is a file format for a looks pack for Luminar 4. So these types of files cannot be used in Luminar AI. Luminar AI uses templates, not looks, and they use a template pack within an LTC extension. So when you download a pack of presets from the Skylum Marketplace, you're most likely going to get a .mp LUMPACK file and a .ltc file. The MP LUMPACKs are for Luminar 4. The LTC files are for Luminar AI. So hopefully that helps with that. And if you're a Luminar 4 user and you want to get information on using that as well, let's go ahead and revisit here our user guide. And I'll show you a quick way to pop between the Luminar AI version. And here's the Luminar 4 version of the user guide. So also searchable if you're a Luminar 4 user. Also a ton of great information that you can access right there. All right. We talked briefly about textures with our layers. And importing skies, that's another good one. So whether you're using skies that are your own or you're wanting to load up a folder of skies that you got from the Skylum Marketplace. Excuse me, I'm coughing a lot today. I apologize. All right. Let's go ahead and go back to our grid view and pull up this gorgeous image here. And if you want to add a folder of skies or add custom skies to Luminar AI, you're going to go to this creative section to Sky AI. And under your sky selection menu, there's a couple of options. If you're here under all skies, you can scroll all the way down to the bottom and you can see I have a lot of skies installed. You can load individual skies one by one by clicking the plus button here at the end of the list. That'll take you to a browser where you can browse your system and find that file that's your sky that you want to use. If you want to load in an entire folder of skies, so they preview here just like so, go up here to the All Skies menu, down to the bottom and Show Custom Skies. And this is going to bring up a custom folder. And you can see inside the custom folder, I have several additional folders. These are all sky packs and my own skies that I've loaded into Luminar AI. So you can bring those in, copy them from wherever you keep them on your computer, paste them in here, and then you'll be able to locate them right here under the sky selection menu. Okie dokie. Let's go back and see if we can do one more topic here. All right, we talked about skies. Watermarking is going to be done there with those textures and layers. Again, let's go ahead and hit that G key. Let's go to this fireworks photo and over to Edit. Give that a moment to load up. There we go. And to add a watermark to this, you're going to go over to Local Masking, Add Texture, and then you'll go down in your texture selection, and I already have a watermark file loaded, so I can go ahead and put that onto my image, click out of that, go into my advanced settings, and to start, I'm going to go to Place Texture. I'm going to make this quite a bit smaller. So we'll go over to my zoom. I'm going to make that 25% so now I can see that bounding box. And just pull in from the corners to resize this. And then I can stick it down there in the corner of my image. I even make it probably a little bit smaller, about like so. And then hit return on my keyboard. You can also hit the place texture button again. And then I can bring that opacity up to 100. Right now it has that black box behind it. You'll be able to see it a little bit better if I go back to fit to screen. You can see how the black behind the signature isn't popping through. To fix that, I'll go down to my blend modes and choose overlay. Let's see, I think it was overlay. Maybe screen. Lighten will do it. And now that background falls away, and now I have just my signature, and I can lower that opacity if it's a little bit much. So it's up to you how you make that look, but that's a quick and easy way to add a watermark. There's also very thorough instructions on how to do this in the user guide, so hopefully you can find that and that helps you get through those steps. And let's take a look here at the list for one more thing. Adding skies we talked about. Aurora. So coming next week with our update for Luminar AI, we're going to be including a section in the user guide when that launches that tells you some of the best ways to work between Luminar AI and Aurora HDR. And in case you're wondering what Aurora HDR is, I encourage you to go over to our website and let's go to the Contact Us page here. Let's take it up to the top. If you go to Explore, here's the link for Aurora HDR. You can learn a little bit more about it. It's a really, really cool program and I hope you'll check it out. I love using it. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. Thank you guys so much for joining me and spending a little bit of time with me. I hope this was informative and helpful and helped answer some of your questions that you have about Luminar AI. I hope you guys have a great weekend and I'll see you again Monday. Bye everyone.